Hey, what's up, anyone and everyone who's out there watching this? Um, this is a video that I've been meaning to make for a very long time. It's a topic I talk to a lot of people about. It's something that I hold very important in my beliefs when it comes to relationships. In my previous relationship, it was something that I brought up very early on, and it's something that a lot of people have a lot of difficulties with. Um, but I think it's critical for a healthy relationship. So, this video I'm thinking of calling it How to Save Your Relationship, or marriage. But also, really, the core of this whole video is not just about marriages or romantic relationships, it's how to create and strengthen any relationship you have, whether it's with your friends, a business relationship, people at work, with your clients, um, with your coach, with whoever it is, your love, the love of your life, your family, your parents. Everything that I'm going to talk about in this video applies to any and all relationships. So keep that in mind throughout this video. Okay, so critical element of a healthy relationship is space. Space and distance. It's very important for all of us to learn to master the distance that we keep between all of our relationships. And as I have talked about this before in some of my other videos, you learn which relationships you can allow to get closer and stay close, and you learn which relationships require more distance, or this much more distance, or this much more distance. And you also, it's important for us all to learn which relationships, some relationships have this sort of a thing going on where you kind of come here, but then you kind of go away, and then you kind of come here, and it's sort of finding that right distance. But the problem is, most of us have these preconceived beliefs of what a marriage should be, right? This is what we all believe. Or what family should be. Or what your best friend, or, we think that it's supposed to be like this. This is such a false belief, I'm not saying it's wrong. In some cases it could be right, but in most cases this is a false belief, and it's causing so much suffering, so many breakups, so many divorces. And if you see most people's relationship patterns like this, swimming around, then they but then right? Rather than, figuring out the distance, the amount of space necessary to keep the relationship healthy, and then continue along your life goals, your goals being up there, and your journey being this path, but you're together on the path. So space and distance are two of the most critical elements in a healthy relationship. Remember, this is all kinds of relationships that can keep your relationship healthy, fun, exciting, interesting, strong, nurturing, supportive, and fun. Just keeps your relationship exciting and fun. But insecurity, often with one person or both people in the relationship, can sometimes be a big barrier towards allowing space and distance into a relationship. You know, sometimes you'll have one person who'll be like clingy or like, no, 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 why should we have space? You know, or you'll have both people who are afraid and want to be close to each other. So being able to realize that that sort of fear comes from insecurity, comes from a lack of your own self-love, a lack of your own focus on your own life, on your own goals, on your own life journey, which we all should always maintain, whether you're in a marriage, whether you're in a serious relationship, whether you're just dating, whether you are, you know, like I said, any relationship with your family, with your work, you should always be focused on your own goal and your own path and what you are doing. As most of you who are regular viewers of my videos will know, I almost always come back to this point. Focus on your life, your own goals, your own journey. This is one of the biggest answers to every dilemma or every, you know, issue that we have, is just focus on yourself, come back to yourself. But as I said, sometimes you'll meet someone who's very insecure and they're getting their happiness and their sense of security and their sense of wholeness from you. You know, or you might be doing this to someone else. And it's important for you to be aware of that you're getting your happiness and wholeness and sense of security from another person. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? You can get some happiness, some sense of wholeness, some sense of security, you know. You can get even more, you know, but don't depend completely on this other person for all of your happiness, for all of your sense of security. Okay? Now let me talk about some examples that I you know, think about and I share with my friends and family when it comes to creating space and distance in your relationship. Some ideas, for example, that I have tried to implement in my previous relationships, or moving forward in my relationships, I will be very serious about applying these things into my relationship. Well, one is, okay, having space. Space is so important in relationships. It allows you to connect with yourself. It allows you to keep that relationship with yourself and not get lost in someone else, which happens to a lot of people in relationships. We lose ourselves in these relationships because we don't have enough time for ourselves. Some of us need a lot of time for ourselves. It's important to at least communicate these things to our partners and don't feel like you have to change and you have to adapt and you have to like fit this, you know, society's expectation of what it is to be in a relationship, like, you know, close and always spending time together. No, we're living in a new world, and anyone who's young, or, you know, it doesn't matter if you're young or older, anyone who's alive right now is making the rules for our new world. So we shouldn't be so dependent on, you know, what expectations are for a relationship. I believe personally that space is very important, and everyone needs a different amount of space. And it's important to communicate with your partner how much space you need for your relationship. For example, how much you communicate to each other during the day. Some people might find it, what's the word, you know, like, when it's, you know, when it's too much, you feel suffocated. That's the word, suffocating. You know, when there's too much, when your partner is contacting you constantly throughout the day, where you're just getting sick of them. Okay? Or it can be the other way, too little, where you're not getting enough. And you've got to find that balance. And the only way we'll find that balance is by communicating to each other. You know, hey, chill on the texts. Or, you know, you've got to just say it. You've got to say, hey, look, I'm starting to get a bit, I have things to do and I'm finding this distracting, or this is too much. You have to communicate with your partner. Okay, if it's a close relationship like that, you have to communicate. If it's like a business relationship or friends or something where you can't be, it's not really like the correct way for you to be open as you would be with your wife or your husband or your relationship, then you've got to be smarter. You've got to listen. And actually, I advise this for people in serious relationships as well. You've got to be smart. When someone's not replying to you, immediately, take it as a sign, okay? Don't keep texting and bombarding them, okay, or contacting them. Allow them to come back to you. That's how you create and maintain attraction, okay? If you overdo it, you're going to start to come across as needy. You don't have anything to do. You've kind of abandoned your own wholeness, your own life, your own objectives, your own goals. And you're putting way too much on this other person. So be smart. A relationship should work like, I like to say, one person takes a step, let's say that's a text message, then the other person should respond. And then it works this way, and step by step. It shouldn't be one person here and this person's just texting. Oh, why isn't this person replying, And then this person will just be like, I need space. Okay? But if this person's smart and sends one text, two texts, three, and then sees, oh, this person's not replying, then just wait and be patient until this person comes. So, this is an art. Relationships are art. It's like a form of art, maintaining a relationship. The art of communication and creating and maintaining attraction, interest, If you overdo it, if you listen to an album, way too much, you're going to get sick of it, even if it's an incredible album. You don't want to destroy it. You don't want to kill it. You want to listen to it a few times and then put it away, right? And then come back to it maybe in a few months or a year. Keep that album interesting so that you can listen to it for your entire life. Especially if you plan on, having a long relationship with anyone, you've got to be very mindful of this. People who are in management, professionals will understand this. Don't get too close to the people that you're managing, because that can be a way that relationships can, problems can arise. But if you maintain that, in the army, they're masters of this, of keeping that space and that distance and that respect, Closer you get to people, that can start to diminish. You're risking getting too close sometimes. So balance is important. Not being too close, but also not being too apart. Finding that balance, okay? And every relationship is going to be very different. If you're managing people at work, it's going to be very different. If you're with your wife or your husband, it's different. So one example of space, or a few examples is I think for a relationship, it's important to have a day for yourself. Whether it's on Saturday or Sunday, have a day where you're spending it for yourself without your partner. Okay, call it a me day. It's a day that's just all about you. You go off and you do your thing, and you can do anything you want, and plan it. Don't just spring this on the person, because that's how you're gonna wind up having fights. But a lot of people do this without explaining it to their partners. This is why a lot of people, they get addicted to their work, or they stay longer hours at work, because it's the only place they get to have their me time. And it's a very dangerous thing for a relationship. It's not just work, it's like the gym. It could be any place where someone is escaping the relationship, to find that me time, to create that me time, that space where they can get re-energized, connect with themselves. How many times have we seen it, maybe with our parents' generation, or we've heard and we've seen this so countless times. The husband usually, right, stays at work longer hours, but now it's like both ways, women and men. If we cannot communicate and allow each other to have space and distance within our relationships, then we're going to force our partners to do it, at work. And then guess what? Work becomes their life. Because why? Because they're spending all their me time at the office after they finish their work. They're going to say, okay, I finished my work now. I'm going to spend a few hours to myself at work, not at home. They don't want to go home because they know that as soon as they get home, they're going to get bombarded with this. Okay? So, the gym, all of these things. By the way, it's fine. It's fine to have your me time in the gym or, at work if you need to. But it's better if you can finish work and come home and be happy and enjoy and look forward to seeing, your the people in your life, in your relationship. But you're not going to feel excited and happy to go home and do that if your relationship doesn't facilitate enough space and me time for yourself. So I think, for example, at least once a week, force yourselves to do this, to have time apart. You're going to miss each other more. You're going to, it's going to strengthen the relationship. Another thing as well that I like is the idea of go off on a trip, Allow your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend to go off on a trip once a year for a week or 2 weeks, and you do it as well. Now, I know some of you out there are thinking, oh, I don't know about this. What if they meet someone and they, leave me, Your insecurity will come up, right? And it will be thinking and being afraid. And look, if you're with someone who is going to leave you, or you're afraid they're going to leave you, then first of all, this is something you need to talk about and be open with and discuss your insecurities so that you can both, work on them. Or if it's something that you don't feel that you can talk about, then it's something that you've got to work on. And the way we work on it is by coming back to self-love, finding security within ourselves, being happy with our own life, with our goals, with our objectives. Insecurity comes along when you start to depend too much on your partner for your happiness, for your security, okay? So it's important to have space, to have distance, and to nurture and to work on your relationship with yourself, because that's where your happiness is going to come from, okay? If you have relationship problems, if you have, any issues with your relationship, don't put your attention on that other person, of how you're going to change them or fix the relationship. Don't even put your attention on the relationship. And remember, this goes not just with romance and marriages and whatever. It goes for your work relationships, your clients. If you're having problems, if you're having issues, don't put your attention on the person you're in the relationship with. All you have to do is come back to yourself and come back to self-improvement, self-focus. How can you improve yourself? How can you be a better person, be more secure, more creative, more, stronger physically, mentally, all right? And as you focus on being better yourself, you're going to improve your relationship. You're going to enhance your relationship. You're going to find that you're going to become more connected with yourself, and that energy is going to come into yourself and be shared into your relationship, strengthening your relationship. Okay, you'll be more patient, you'll be more loving, you'll be smarter, wiser, and the more you become connected with yourself, the more you might realize maybe that you're not in the right relationship, So always come back to yourself. I like space. I think space is a very healthy thing for relationships. And I go as far as to even say, like in my relationship, sometimes like I would be tempted to have two bedrooms. Have a bedroom for yourself, another bedroom for the person you're in a relationship with. I'm not saying that you have to sleep apart in two different bedrooms, but maybe you can spend some time together in one bedroom, and one night maybe you want to spread your legs like a starfish, and just have the whole bed to yourself. Or personally, if I get into a long relationship now, I will have a huge bed because I want my side, I want my own blanket, you know. So I'm not saying this is gonna. It depends on who you're in a relationship with. Maybe I'm with someone who I want a small bed and I want her right next to me, and one blanket's enough. So, but it's always going to be different. Okay. The point of this video is the importance, the critical importance of this topic that none of us think about when it comes to relationship, which is space and distance. Okay, and playing this dance of, don't be too overpowering with your contact. And some of you out there going through breakups might see a pattern in this with, no contact, how much contact, and how to reattract that. That's why we do no contact, because no contact is you're basically putting 100% focus on your life, on your goals, on your journey. And a side effect of no contact is that you become extremely attractive because you're not overpowering, you're not contacting so much. Okay? So, space and distance are very, very, very helpful for a relationship. They can keep a relationship interesting and exciting so that you don't get bored of each other, you know. Don't overdo things too much, Have your own lives. Look, a relationship or a friendship is when two people make a decision to trust each other, to be together, to be supportive of each other. Okay, that's the basic gist of it, is that two people decide. Because look, even in friendships, you're never going to meet someone that you're 100% compatible with. We're all different. We're all unique. If you look around and you see some of your friends that have best friends and you think they're so alike, no, everyone's different. It's just that some people will decide to become friends. And as a part of that decision comes this agreement that I'm going to support you, I'm going to stand beside you. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm going to be on your side, I'm going to have some trust that you're there for me, that we're going to be there for each other. Okay, so that's a basic relationship, and it comes from hundreds of thousands of years ago when we were cavemen and we would meet people and we would try to strengthen our tribe and our families by making agreements. Like, my tribe will take care of your tribe if we both, look after each other and trust each other. So it's out of a place of, love, and it's out of a place of being stronger and protecting each other. Okay? So nowadays we engage in relationships, but there's all this fear because there's so many breakups and there's so much, insecurity, and people are just hopping from one place to another because people aren't looking after their self-love and their own goals, and we're more needy, and because we're more needy, we're looking to outside things to make us happy. So when we get in a relationship, we're still, open to other relationships, and we're just not happy with where we are. We don't have the ability to strengthen ourselves by our self improvements. So it creates insecurity. We go into a new relationship, but yet our eyes are still looking around. All right, it's not cool. It's not cool. All right, relationship should be when two people make that decision. It can be friends, business partners, anything. Okay, trust is important, and yes, it requires intelligence. It requires you to be wise and smart and make good decisions. And are you going to make mistakes? Yes, we all will make mistakes. It's a part of life. We're going to make a lot of mistakes, but it's okay. You get back up, you do your best, you keep your heart open. It's not a case of keeping your heart open. Your heart will grow more open, more passionate, more wiser. So, value space, and if you have a problem with space right now, if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, you're one of these people that needs to have people around you, then work on it little by little. I'm not saying that you've got to now go and spend a whole day, a week on your own, but start a little slow. Maybe do 5 minutes of go for a walk on your own, or meditate on your own, or do something on your own, okay? You're going to strengthen yourself. You're going to strengthen your relationship, okay? And the same goes with friends. If you have friendships, space. Allow someone to come back and contact you. Don't play games. Games is different, okay? You want to just, use your common sense. If you're being way too overpowering with your contact of someone, chill, take it down. And if someone's not contacting you anymore, you got to take that as a sign, okay? So I think you're all intelligent enough out there to know what I mean when I say don't play games, okay? Let this all come from a genuine place. And what I mean by that is focus on your goals, focus on your life journey, make that number one, and then, be smart with your relationships. It's like watering a plant. If you overwater the plant, it's going to die. If you underwater it, it's going to die. There has to be a balance, okay? The plant is going to start needing your attention. That's when you give it some water. So, when you're in a relationship is like a plant. It's like a new entity. And in order for it to survive, it needs energy from both parties. If you over-energize, if one person's over-energizing it, it can start to kill the plant. Okay? So both people need to put a good, balanced amount of energy to keep the relationship strong. Otherwise, if one's putting too much, this one's going to withdraw and put less. And then part of the relationship's going to start to become corrupt. Okay? So both people need to chill and just feed each other enough, energy, but also go off on their own life adventures and life goals. It's not easy, people. It's not easy. Am I a master of this? Hell no. But we can all try to do our best with the knowledge that we know and we share with each other. Like these things. These things are, a lot of people are going to hear this space and distance and a week off from each other and separate bedrooms. And they're going to be like, what are you talking about, man? That's not a relationship. But hey, we're living in modern times. So we have to be wise. And, you're not supposed to be like this. This is ball and chain. This is trapped. No, be free and find the right person to be in a relationship with, okay? Usually it's someone who's going to make you feel, who's going to energize you, enhance your life. I was talking to someone who I met a few days ago, and she's a very cool person who I like very much, and she was talking about makeup, for example. How makeup is not supposed to create a new face for you. It's supposed to enhance what's already there, right? That's the same with what we're talking about. You energize and you enhance each other. You enhance what's there. You're not going to be looking for your partner to be giving you a completely new face, because then when your partner goes and you've gotten used to that face, and that face is gone, then you've lost yourself. So enhance each other's lives, okay? That's what a relationship should be doing, enhancing. It shouldn't be draining, it shouldn't be trapping. You should be free to live your life the way that you're living it. and meet someone who is in harmony with your life. Sure, it's going to take some compromises, some change, some sacrifices, of course, but when you find someone who you're more compatible with, who you sort of on the same path with, it's not going to be too draining, too much of a change on your lifestyle. All right. Anyway, I think I've said enough here, and I hope this video helps in some way. Sending everyone out there all the very best, and I'll talk to you guys soon.